acres. We're looking north to south down at the Kern River there. Fire started on the south side of Highway 178 near Democrat Road.
But that does now make it the largest fire in Kern County's history.
We work, like Michael said, we spend our whole lives saving.
Kern County streaming news leader. This is a special edition of 23 ABC News, and it starts now.
Good evening, and thanks for tuning into a special edition of 23 ABC News. I'm your executive reporter, Mike Hart. We begin tonight with the Borel fire, the largest wildfire now in Kern County history. It's been 9 days since it broke out, covering thousands of acres, leaving several mountain communities in ruin. 23 ABC has deployed our team of neighborhood reporters from all over the county into the Kern River Valley since day one, bringing you unprecedented coverage of the stories rising from the ashes. Tonight, we begin with a timeline from when this fire began to where it is today. Neighborhood reporter Corey O'Leary has been covering it since the beginning. He's on location in the Kern River Canyon, where it all began.
I'm Corey O'Leary, your neighborhood reporter, and right now I'm off the 178 in the Kern River Canyon near where the Borel fire started on Wednesday, July 24th. It started after a car went over the edge of this canyon and crashed near the Kern River, catching fire. I was able to speak with an eyewitness who saw the start of this fire.
I didn't actually see him go over, but he went over.
Robbie Miller was driving up the canyon when the car that started the fire went over the edge of the road around 1 p.m.
When I walked to the edge, it was upside down and it was engulfed. Everything was on fire, and the fire actually went over me like a rainbow.
Shortly after, authorities shut down the road. The morning of July 25th, the fire had spread to 941 acres and continued to grow, prompting the first evacuation order to be issued. Deputy Chief of Kern County Fire says the rate of spread on the night of the 25th was unprecedented.
The night we saw extreme fire conditions. The fire traveled 5 miles at nighttime, which is unprecedented.
Oh, there were tons of flames, 100-foot high flames. Just an enormous amount of flames.
The morning of day 3, the fire was mapped at 3,902 acres.
This is a significant challenge due to the winds, especially. We're seeing winds of 30 miles an hour plus.
Evacuation orders expanded into Havilah and areas of Walker Basin. Thick smoke could be seen rising from the south of the Kern River Valley. Now I'm on Hooper Hill, which is just south of Bodfish. If you take Caliente Bodfish Road, you can see flames from my vantage point.
It's growing, it's progressing really fast and rapidly. The wind's not helping at all. I've seen it jump probably like 5 times already. It's all these parts of the mountain. I almost can't even speak. It's devastating.
Around 5 p.m., the fire went through the area of historic Havilah, destroying property and homes, like Aubrey Barkley's ranch in Havilah. Just moments ago, the acreage on the fire was updated to roughly 12,700 acres.
The response right now is absolutely massive, and that is because this fire is burning with extreme fire behavior.
On day 4, the fire was mapped at 31,980 acres.
On Saturday, it was confirmed that the small town of Havilah was negatively impacted.
Evacuation orders were issued in Bodfish, and evacuation warnings were issued in Lake Isabella.
It was dreadful. I was here at the swap meet, and I was afraid I wouldn't get in there to get my stuff out.
Bro, I can't breathe. How about yourself?
From that point of it starting until now, this fire has moved over 11 miles.
The morning of day 5, the fire was mapped at 38,446 acres with 0% containment.
Our firefighters on the ground and in the air, the aerial resources, we have people working 24 hours a day.
It just, the fire, the wind just took it. and I lost everything. I lost 130 acres, and some of my friends lost their homes too.
And Walker Basin residents were preparing for the fire, evacuating animals and creating defensible space. Community members stepped up, like this hall in Twin Oaks that was providing food and cots for those in need.
We've all been helping out the community, and we've seen the need.
Sunday night, the flames were seen on Hooper Hill, but nighttime helicopters were able to control the situation. Morning of day 6, the fire was mapped at 53,010 acres with 0% containment.
We've seen multiple fire agencies, Cal Fire, Ventura County Fire, LA Fire, and of course our Kern County Fire Department.
But I just want to paint a picture about what we've seen so far this morning. Looking directly behind me, you can see the fire is seemingly starting to make its way further south.
Fire crews from all across the region are working hard not just to put this fire out, but direct it in a way so that it doesn't level communities here in the Kern River Valley.
As the Borel fire continues to expand, those impacted are evacuating to neighboring communities like Kernville.
Day 7, the fire was mapped at 57,306 acres with 17% containment.
A firefighter actually took my dogs and put them to safety because they were in this fire.
I love you. I love you. A local woman tells me that she is thankful her home is still standing.
Gavin Newsom remarking on the state of California with several wildfires stretching resources.
We're seeing significantly more intense activity.
Gavin Newsom, after giving a press conference in Kernville, came to historic Havilah to survey the damage.
Now that Highway 178 has just reopened, it's expected to ease the burden for residents and local business owners.
The morning of day 8, the fire was mapped at 58,682 acres with 34% containment. Firefighters were making progress with the fire.
With Highway 178 reopening, officials are breathing a sigh of relief for this small victory. Make your way through this road, you'll see the remnants of the Borel fire leaving the area scorched.
In the Kern River Valley, I'm Corey O'Leary, your neighborhood reporter.
Throughout the show, you're going to see a QR code on screen. It's part of an effort to help our neighbors in need. 23ABC is partnering with the Scripps Howard Fund to raise money for our neighbors who are impacted by the Borel fire. Just scan the QR code or text Wildfire to 50155 or head over to our website, turn to23.com/relief. 23ABC will match the first $2,300 in donations. According to the U.S. Forest Service, more than 1,300 personnel are now working at the scene of the Borel fire. In addition to crews on the front lines and those working to create fire breaks, officials tell us there are crews doing inspections of damaged and destroyed structures to make sure it's all documented. Officials saying it's necessary to make informed decisions during the recovery process in providing resources and support to those in need. We continue our coverage with senior reporter Veronica Morley, who's been in the Kern River Valley since the early days of this fire.
It was the perfect storm. High temperatures, low humidity, and strong winds fueling the Borel fire. In just 9 days, the blaze became the largest in Kern County history.
It's a much different feeling than when you're in a neighboring county or in a strange community. It really hits close to home. It's a lot more stressful.
After an exhausting week, firefighters are finally seeing progression with the Borel fire.
I live about 8 miles south of here, and the day of the fire, I got woke up at 5 in the morning.
Calif lives in Walker Basin and has been fighting the fire since day one. Even though he and other crews are making progress, we're not out of the woods yet.
Mother Nature still had the upper hand when this fire started. Recognize that we might be back in red flag conditions again. And because of that, everyone needs to go ahead and kind of put yesterday behind you. You need to start fresh today.
The fire making its way east, pushed by wind speeds upwards of 20 miles an hour.
When you look at that stand of trees that were between the courthouse and the school, all of those trees were just snapped like twigs. That's how brutal those winds were. Instantly got my stuff off the rig, put it in my car, and went home because my house was under mandatory evacuation.
While it bulldozed through the community of Havilah in a matter of days, crews were quick to get containment lines established.
Everything lines up because this fire had an extraordinary benefit from the fact that a lot of resources were able to divert to this from the Trout and the Long fire.
Many of the crews working to suppress the Borel fire are going on 3 weeks of firefighting due to the complex created by the Trout and Long fires. While progress with the fire has resulted in a reduction of some evacuation warnings and orders, this weekend's rising temperatures leaves conditions up in the air, which is why officials ask residents to be mindful when a warning or order is issued.
That's why we're here, is to protect lives. But it goes to show if individuals choose on their own not to follow evacuation warnings, not to follow evacuation orders, they're actually impacting the ability for firefighters to stop the fire.
As skeleton crews are left to mop up hot spots in the wake of the flames, it opens more resources to move to areas still under active threat.
It's exhausting, but as soon as I knew my house was safe and my family was emotionally good, I really wanted to get back and help my community.
On Thursday, fire behavior was expected to be moderate with higher humidity. However, this weekend will bring higher temperatures back into play. For 23 ABC News, I'm your senior reporter, Veronica Morley.
The Kern County Sheriff's Search and Rescue Team is asking those that had their house burned down to contact the Communications Center. That number is 661-861-3110. They ask you provide your address, the total number of inhabitants at the time of the fire, and if they have all been accounted for. Search and Rescue has not begun operations in communities affected by the fire just yet. Kern County is expected to open a local assistance center for those impacted by the Borel fire. It's a singular location for survivors to access important resources. It's expected to be open Saturday, August 10th through Tuesday, August 13th from 10 a.m. through 7 p.m. daily. It'll be at the Kern River Valley Senior Center at 6401 Lake Isabella Boulevard. The county would like to remind residents that anyone impacted the fire can access these resources whether or not they had to evacuate or if they lost their home. Taking a look now at the watch duty map. This is the one that shows evacuation areas for the Borel fire. The U.S. Forest Service changing the levels for some of the areas within the fire zone. Now first, the town of Bodfish. You can see it basically in the area of yellow on the map. It's now under an evacuation warning. No longer orders to evacuate, but officials remind you that can change at any moment, so continue to monitor all of the platforms for the latest developments. Now the town of Lake Isabella, it's also been downgraded. It's no longer under an evacuation warning. Everything good there. It's normal. The southern edge of the fire, though, just north of Walker Basin, is also under an evacuation warning. Officials telling us that hand crews and dozers are in that area working to hold the line. Now, the fire is currently active in the eastern section of the fire zone. Helicopters, air tankers, we're told, supporting ground crews, not to mention patrolling the Kern Canyon corridor still, looking for any types of flare-ups. Now, all this as temperatures are expected to go back up, and they're bracing for stronger wind gusts arriving in the KRV this weekend. Bringing Chief Meteorologist Brandon Michaels with a look at the changes and those challenges still to come.
Yeah, unfortunately, even though we've seen a lot of good news with this fire in the past couple of days, fire danger still high across Kern County. In fact, a red flag warning still in effect for really all of our mountain and desert communities. Every area there shaded in pink under that red flag warning. Now, earlier this week, we had red flag warning conditions because of very dry humidity and gusty west winds. That's not so much the case this time around. The red flag warning that's in effect through the day tomorrow is due to the potential for thunderstorms, specifically dry thunderstorms. Now, those are storms with little to no rain, and lightning from those storms can very easily spark wildfires. In addition, those storms can produce some gusty winds, which tends to fan flames of existing fires. So, still high fire danger, just a little different reason than what we had earlier in the week. Now, you can see from the Storm Prediction Center, the storm outlook today did favor eastern Kern County. Didn't see too much in the way of storm activity for today. Tomorrow, a little better chance to see some of those storms popping up. So, a little better coverage tomorrow. We'll be watching the radar. We're actually going to take a look at futurecasts coming up later in the show. But for now, we're going to send things over to 23 ABC's Priscilla Lara, who has a look on how this fire has affected local wildlife.
It's been over a week since the Borel fire began to burn in the Kern River Valley, displacing several people from their homes. I'm Priscilla Lara, your neighborhood reporter, but people aren't the only ones being affected. According to biologist Ron Rosar, the fire burned through the homes of several wild species.
The biodiversity that we have here is really unparalleled. We have a whole array of species. We have California spotted owls, we have American goshawks, we have fisher, we have black bears, mountain lions.
With wildfires being a natural part of the environment, Rosar says some wildlife are accustomed to something like a wildfire.
With a fire this large that moved this fast, sadly some individuals would have succumbed to the fire. But a lot of them are going to be able to move out of the area to nearby areas, and some will just find a place to hide and wait it out.
To minimize the impact fires may have on wildlife in the National Forest, Rosar says he'll partner with the Incident Command to inform them about endangered species and critical habitats like creeks. In this manner, he says firefighters will prioritize protecting those areas. Once the fire burns out, he says the National Forest will evaluate the impact on the habitat and determine what the needs are to develop a restoration plan.
Sometimes it might be as intricate as reintroducing microbes to the soil. It may be moving around some of the dead vegetation to create piles that act as hide places for some of our wildlife.
Rosar added that restoring the land could take at least a year. In the Kern River Valley, I'm Priscilla Lara, your neighborhood reporter.
Everything that you could possibly need while you're waiting to see what's going to happen with your life.
2 evacuation centers are still open across Kern County, one in Tehachapi. We'll take a look back at those that are being helped and what you need to know if you have to visit one. Welcome back. 23 ABC has shared many stories from the fire zone since the start of the Borel fire. And tonight, we're reaching back to remind you of how this wildfire has impacted some of our neighbors. There are 2 official evacuation centers for people displaced by the Borel fire. One, Ridgecrest at the Burroughs High School, and the other in Tehachapi at the Education Center. Ruby Rivera headed up the mountain to visit the Red Cross shelter in Tehachapi, where she met up with Loretta Hubbard, a resident of Walker Basin who didn't wait to be told to leave. She grabbed her 2 dogs and 3 cats when she saw the fire and headed for safety right away.
I don't have to worry about anything right now except waiting for what's going to happen with the fire. I don't have to worry about my pets. They provided everything I needed just in case I didn't bring it. And they provide the support I need.
Loretta Hubbard says this is the second fire she's fallen victim to, and in both cases, she says the Red Cross was there to help. Hubbard says the Red Cross was able to shelter her pets in both fires. However, this time around, she says the volunteers have gone above and beyond.
They, help me with the walking. They provide the food, they have a nurse here available. They have everything that you could possibly need while you're waiting to see what's going to happen with your life.
The emergency pet shelter is run by the Central California Animal Disaster Team. Volunteer Katie Gruby says they're currently sheltering roughly 10 animals and can care for any small pet.
I think it's really important to keep families together with their pets. Pets are such a huge part of people's lives that when you go through a disaster, it really can help take some of the stress off knowing that your animal is close by and cared for by professionals.
Cindy Hughey with the Red Cross says the Tehachapi Evacuation Center was set up within hours of notice of the Borel fire.
They get blankets. If we have a few pillows, they'll get a pillow. We have hot meals. We have a nurse available. We have spiritual care and counselors available if they need to speak with them.
Hubbard says although she doesn't know the status of her home, she's staying optimistic and says everything important to her is already safe at the shelter.
If it happens, it happens. It's just stuff. If it doesn't happen, then I can go home.
On Thursday, 1st District Supervisor Philip Peters and Rooster's Honky Tonk are hosting a fundraising concert for victims of the Borel fire. It is set for Wednesday, August 7th. Doors open at 4 p.m. with a $10 donation. The concert starts at 8 p.m. Organizers say proceeds will be donated to the American Red Cross, and they're collecting gently used and new household items to be donated through the Salvation Army.
I was screaming, let's get out of here. I just couldn't, I couldn't hold myself. I was like panicking.
It wasn't just Havilah impacted by the fire. We'll take you to the town of Caliente and revisit the story of one couple who were building their dream home when the fire swept in, and miraculously, it wasn't destroyed. Welcome back. The town of Havilah took the full force of the Borel fire, but several other smaller communities were also devastated by those flames. Neighborhood reporter Dominique Lavigny found one couple in the community of Caliente who are building their dream home, and after several years will be starting over, but not from scratch.
As helicopters respond to the Borel fire and flames continue to burn, Michael Connolly walks through what's left behind of his dream house. Connolly and his wife Patricia used their life savings to start building the house 5 years ago, after she tells me everything became too expensive.
But we just recently have started to build the house finally, and then the fire came.
The couple says they've been through the Stagecoach fire along with many others while living in California. But this was different.
We kind of used to,
yeah,
but never expect anything like this.
Connolly says this was the view from their trailer when the fire came while they were eating lunch.
I was screaming, let's get out of here. I just couldn't, I couldn't hold myself. I was like panicking.
Yeah.
Already prepared to leave. Connolly says within 5 minutes, the entire area was engulfed in flames. But upon their return the same night, they found ash, their car exploded, and all the tools to build their home charred.
It hurts because we work, like Michael said, we spend our whole lives saving.
But their trailer where they lived and the home's foundation was left untouched by the flames, which has burned more than 50,000 acres.
This whole area you see here was full of trees and brush when we got here. We cleared everything on the front, we cleared everything behind, we cleared as much as we could here, and I do believe that's why we're saved, at least our living quarters.
The couple, just grateful to be alive, says they plan to rebuild.
I mean, it's still a dream, it's not dead.
For 23 ABC News, I'm Dominique Lavigny, your neighborhood reporter.
We shut down our store and our restaurant, and we opened it up for the evacuees.
You may have stopped by Robbers Roost along Highway 14 in the high desert on your last road trip, but it looks a little different. We'll show you what they're doing to help those impacted by the Borel fire.
Along Highway 14 between the 58 and Inyo Kern, there isn't much. But off on the left-hand side, headed northbound, there's this, Robbers Roost, a pit stop, a mini mart. So many things can describe this place. But as a result of the Borel fire, it's now become a safe haven for many.
If it wasn't for these people, I don't know what would happen.
The inside of Robbers Roost looks like a tornado went through, but for a good cause. It's packed to the brim with donations from all over the area. And talking with the many volunteers who were taking time out of their lives and wallets to make a difference, they say they want to help in any way they can through the sheer power of volunteerism.
We put out a post if any evacuees needed a place to go. We shut down our store and our restaurant, and we opened it up for the evacuees.
There's been a lot of businesses around town too that have donated their time, their money, their food, their cooking. We pretty much have meals set up. We have people at home that are making hot meals for everyone that's up here that we'll be delivering daily. Oh gosh, it's been amazing.
Jennifer Williams and her family were evacuated from the Bodfish area and have been staying at Robbers Roost for the last few days. Thankful to have a roof over their heads, something to eat, and a place to regroup after a stressful few days.
They opened up their homes and their arms to us immensely. Nowadays, it's hard to find good people. And these people are the most awesome I have ever known in my life.
And the group isn't just staying settled at the Roost. The mini mart turned donation hub hit the road Wednesday to deliver supplies to families impacted by the fire. Alyssa Beckham and her family lost the majority of their property in Havilah because of the Borel fire and are staying in Lake Isabella with family while they try to comprehend the last week. For her to see the outpouring of support from the group, it's almost unfathomable.
We could not be more blessed to have community people, especially in Kern Valley with our Kern Valley Strong, and just how everyone comes together to gather clothes for your kids, help you with some toilet paper, dog food. As a community, it really just brings us together and kind of just pulls everything like it's going to be okay.
Now, if you've been impacted by the Borel fire and you need a place to stay or a place to take your animals or anything like supplies, you can reach out to Robbers Roost. We'll have their contact information in this story on our website. At Robbers Roost alongside Highway 14, I'm Sam Hoyle, your neighborhood reporter.
If you've been on social media, then this dog might look familiar. His name is Walker, and he was rescued by firefighters near Caliente. He was found walking down the road with a burnt paw. Firefighters kept him in their truck and later took him to Kern County Animal Services, where he was treated. Walker now has his feet all wrapped up and is recovering. The pup's also looking to be reunited with its owner, as are several other animals that have been found since the fire began. Kern County Animal Services has a website where you can check if your lost pet has been found. Head to our website, turn23.com, for more information. And that will do it for our look at the Borel fire. Once again, we invite you to join 23ABC and the Scripps Howard Fund as we raise money for the victims of this fire. Just scan the QR code, text Wildfire to 50155, or head to our website, turn23.com/relief. 23ABC will match the first $2,300 in donations. Coming up, we'll turn our attention to stories making headlines in other Kern County neighborhoods. Stick around.